Welcome back to the Wrong Advice Podcast. I'm your host, John Pacino, and I'm very excited to have Alex Scott back on with us again. Alex
Hello.
Scott, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you, dude?
Oh, I'm doing so good. I'm so excited to have you back on the podcast today. It's been like over a year. I think it's been, closer to 2, which is
2,
crazy.
yeah.
It's
Yeah, I know.
crazy.
Wild, right?
It's so wild.
Yeah.
Can you reintroduce yourself after this hiatus to the listeners?
Sure. Yeah. What's up? My name's Alex. I am a relationship coach that focuses on helping my clients heal from toxic narcissistic relationships so they can date smart and finally attract their dream relationship. That's what I do.
Holy shit, man. Your motto is like so on point now.
Oh, thanks.
That was like, whoa. That was nice. Very good.
It freaking better be. Can we cuss on this podcast? I forgot.
Yes. Fucking
Am I allowed to say the F word? Okay,
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I was about to say it fucking better be, and then I was like, maybe I shouldn't say that. Yeah, after going on many podcasts and doing what I'm doing, it better be dialed in.
So we talked about 2 years ago, and it was sort of, I think, the first chapter of your foray into like individual business runner, guru, relationship expert, etc. And what can only be described as like exponential growth since our last conversation has happened.
So
and I'm curious what that process has been like for you, going from someone who was just starting something to now you're like blown up, like life is good. Practice is good. Business is good. Like, how does that all come to be, and how does that feel?
It feels good, but not without its challenges. That's for damn sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll say this. I'm really glad that I had a good foundation of the healing work before I did the social media thing. 'Cause damn, haters be hating. The amount of tenacity you have to truly delve into entrepreneurship. It's like, it's not for the faint of heart. I literally went from I blew up in a month. Like, I went from 2,000 followers to over 100,000 in 30 days.
Shit.
All of it was I had been posting for about a year and a half, like every day, multiple times a day. And then just boom, and it blew up. TikTok, I had more steady growth earlier on, but IG, man, it's hard to bust into there. So it's been really good. I'm so fucking thankful to be where I am today and to have the business I have and to be working with the amount of clients I've worked with and from around the world. It's really an honor to be here and to be doing what I'm doing. And I really love it. I really love it. As weird as that might sound,
no, it's great. The thing that's crazy to me is I was reading on your website that you've worked with over 1,400 different people in their dating journey. And to me, that is an unfathomable amount of people.
It's a lot of people.
I think social media has broken our brains to think 100,000 people is not a lot, but 1,500 practical clients is a fuck ton. Anybody in business knows that's a shit ton of clients.
Yeah.
I imagine that comes with so much inherent craziness, pressure, and stress, anxiety, a million things.
Imposter syndrome.
Talk to me about exponential growth in a 30-day period, which I would imagine led to equally exponential growth within your business.
Yeah.
How did you handle all of that?
Well, the saying, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
I had already been, how do I say that? So when I teach my class, we're going to talk about relationships and I'll dial it back to business because really this work is the same no matter what facet of your life you're working on. And so in order to have the stability in my dating and relationship life as my own individual self before I even started the business thing, I needed to get my nervous system to a place where I was secure enough within myself to be my authentic self and secure enough within myself to allow myself to receive the kind of relationship I wanted to receive. And this is where a lot of people, you'll hear women say, especially I'm not attracted to the safe, stable guys. They feel boring, right? And it's because their nervous system isn't open to receiving that kind of love. And so they chase the fuck boys, for lack of a better way to say it,
Yes.
Now, when we look at this from a business standpoint, I was working behind the scenes for, like I said, about a year and a half on myself and opening my nervous system to hold the capacity for that kind of an audience on TikTok and Instagram and my email list, and Facebook. But then it was like taking it to another capacity to have that many clients. Right.
Mhm.
And so I was building myself up to be able to do that. I was also like, if we want to talk like systems, just from like an entrepreneurial standpoint, I had all the systems ready to go. Everything was so automated. There was such a streamlined process to onboarding clients that it wasn't more work for me at that point. It was just the same lather, rinse, repeat, more content, talk about my shit, want to work with me, here you go. And it all kind of fell into place from there. And I truly believe that we have to build ourselves to receive it before we see it show up, no matter what
Ooh,
area in life it is.
I love that. Both business wise and obviously relationship wise as well.
Relationship wise. Yeah.
When we first talked, I think you were just beginning the relationship that you're currently in. Correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember.
No,
Oh,
dude.
okay.
You want to jump into this? I had been with
Yes.
that guy for 3 years and we broke up later that year.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And now I'm in a new relationship and it's almost been a year that I've been with him. So we can talk about all that nitty gritty if you want to.
I do. I do because like I thought the timing coincided with both, and I was wondering if like a healthy, sustainable relationship led to being able to be confident and
Yeah.
secure in a business. Which
Yeah.
okay, maybe yes now, maybe not so then. Please go
We can
on.
talk about it. Yeah. So I started this business because my partner at the time told me to, ironically or coincidentally enough. Like, I had been doing this work on my own before I met this person in 2017, 2018. I honestly can't remember. And when COVID hit and I was furloughed from my job, I was an events manager. He was like, I've learned so much about like healing and healthy relationships. And at that point, we had been together for like a year and a half, 2 years or something. When COVID hit, yeah, it must have been 2018 because 2020 COVID hit. And so I was like, okay, yeah, sure. I'll like build a business off that. Cause he was like, yo, share your stuff with the world. And so I did. And as our relationship progressed and we started to get into 2021, 2022, actually, was when we split. And it was really scary because I already had a bunch of clients. Like, I was already doing my thing. And I actually just talked about this in a masterclass I did the other day. There came a point in my relationship with him where I was like, okay, things are great, but they're not. Like, they're okay, but it's not what I want. There were also some other unhealthy dynamics that were starting to creep up because of his own mental health with what was happening with COVID. There was a lot going on. And it was draining me and my energy and my ability to be who I wanted to be as the coach that I desired to be, right? So I had to get super honest with myself where it's like, yo, girl, now is the time to pull your big girl pants up and practice what you preach in front of everybody.
Yeah.
So I had to have like low-key a public breakup, which sucked. Yeah.
I can imagine. Yeah.
That was hard. There was so much like, are people going to think that like I'm not good enough to be doing what I'm doing if I leave this relationship? Like, what are people going to say? How are they going to feel about me? Like, there were so many insecurities that were kind of bubbling up because he was also part of my content, like that's awkward.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny. Maybe you can relate to this because like I personally think that I give like very good relationship advice to my friends. And I think it's because do as I say, not as I do, because it's easier for me to like give you what I think makes sense because I'm not the one that has to go through it. Because a lot of times dating advice is hard, right? So it's easy for me to give you difficult advice knowing I'm not the one that's going to do it, right?
Right.
So I find that very funny because I can relate to it. And then also like just the sheer, am I worthy of still being this person when I have failed doing the thing that I'm supposed to teach other people to do? That's tough.
It's tough. And I had to sit with that exact thing. Is this really a failure or is this what just society tells us is failure? Because when I really look at it, it's like me leaving my ex, like a man that I loved. And like, I really thought I was going to be with him for the rest of my life. Like our relationship was dope. Like 90% of the time, relationship was dope. The last 6 months of our relationship, shit started to fall apart. And I was kind of like, how long am I willing to wait around for this to get back to what it was? And will it ever
Yeah.
get back to what it was? And
Yeah.
is it a failure if I go after something better? Really? No.
No.
And that
No.
was the thing that I needed to sit with is like, it feels like a failure. And so many people look at that, right? It's like, oh, well, the longevity of a relationship dictates its success. Bullshit. Do you know how many people have been together for 80 years and they hate each other and it's a living hell in their households? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it was
Yeah.
like, I got to a point to where it was like, I was done with that relationship. We parted ways. I moved into this apartment. I was single for a year and practicing what I preach. Like I took my time to heal and reflect on that. And honestly, my business didn't take a hit at all. In fact, that was when it blew up. And riddle me
Oh.
that one, Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really
The internet loves a
feel,
single girly. I don't know.
I just really feel that like the energy that I was losing because I was overcompensating for what I was going through in that relationship. You know what I mean? Like giving
Hmm.
to him and like it was kind of becoming an energy vampire at one point. Because I parted ways with that and got grounded, reclaimed my life, got back to like, you know, a normal that for me felt really good. And honestly, like a new normal, because it's like new level, new devil, right? So it's like, I'm not returning to who I used to be. I'm returning to the next level me, or I'm becoming the next level me, right?
Hmm.
And then fall of like it was 6 months after I was in this apartment and I blew up on Instagram. And so I really think that it all happened for a reason in the way that it was supposed to, as uncomfortable and it felt embarrassing. You know, I was in the middle of teaching a dating program when we broke up.
Yeah. But that's like, you know, also I think that could like be crucially beneficial to what you do because you're now getting a further look and fresh eyes at what you're preaching, right?
True.
So
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
it's always like
So
the duality of it all, right? Yeah.
exactly. Always.
Yeah.
Always. So yeah, I
I
was
have,
single for a year and then dated and now met a guy and now I've been with him for almost a year. Wild.
that's amazing. I love that. I'm a big believer of everything happens for a reason. I think everyone
Agreed.
is like sort of super out on that phrase. It's like, oh well, shit shouldn't happen. I'm like, whatever, shut the fuck up. It's a good reminder that like things can be bad and then they can be good again. And I like
Yes.
that, especially when your relationship becomes such a huge part of your business and then
Hmm.
like publicly you're talking about what is a perceived failure but in actuality is just the next evolution of you as a person. Like
Exactly.
there's a reason why I read something, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that like 75% of relationships under 30 fail and then like 50% above. Is that true? Maybe I made those numbers up, but it's like something staggering
I
like
don't
that.
know that statistic, but it doesn't surprise me and I can understand the science behind it for sure.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
our brains aren't fully formed till we're 25. And if I'm
Hmm.
being honest, I don't think I even really started to own who I was authentically till I was like 27.
Yeah.
So that tracks. It's like I think people shouldn't get married till after 30. It's like you're just figuring your shit
Same.
out. Like
Same. As a
yeah.
38-year-old, soon to be not soon, but like 2 years to be 40-year-old, I
Yeah.
still think about like my dating life and whether I'm ready. I mean, like that's a lie. I have done enough self work to be incredibly comfortable in my own skin and who I
Yeah.
am as a human being to know that I am absolutely ready to share my life with someone.
Yeah.
That being said, I could understand why the sentiment of "don't get married till you're 30" tracks for sure.
Yeah. 100%. Mm-hmm.
I am super curious though. So I took the time to ask a bunch of my friends to hit me with some like good questions for Alex Scott the Guru to talk about things like gaslighting, narcissism, like all these things that like we deal with in the dating app generation, right? I personally think it's the most exhausting time in the history of the world to be a single person because
Okay.
there's just constant stimulus and options and it can be paralyzing. Um,
Totally true.
so the first question that I got, and it's not really a question, but it's a great statement that I really loved was there is a saying that women look for the right person while men look for the right time. And it got me thinking that that kind of tracks. Like I think for me as a man dating, it's more about timing in my life, like knowing that my business
Mm.
is good, my job is good, all these things are good before I'm opening myself up to the possibility of a partner. But I'm curious what
Mm.
your sentiments are about that kind of phrase mentality.
Oh, I think it's interesting. I can understand why that is a saying. Um, Ooh, I think all of us should be looking for the right person always. And about the
Hmm.
right time, I have mixed feelings about the right time thing because business can be good now.
Yeah.
What happens if another COVID happens? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's one of those things where I think we always, again, maybe the name of this episode should be something about duality because that's really what it is,
Yeah.
right? It's like we all should always be looking for the right person. Yes, we desire stability in our lives. And I do think it's smart, like it's beneficial to both you and whoever you end up dating and are in a relationship with to have some kind of stability. But I think that there are, like, when we look at avoidant attachment, they love to lean on that excuse. I'm not in the career that I need to be in. I'm not stable enough yet. I'm not where I want to be personally yet, or I got to lose a little bit of weight before and it's like, yo, let's be real. You're tripping because it feels scary to fall in love again. Get out there. You know
Duh.
what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like we got to be honest with ourselves. Like, am I using this as an excuse to avoid the risky, vulnerable thing? Or am I being honest with myself where it's like, yeah, I don't have a job right now. Let me figure that out first before I'm like trying to take someone out for drinks. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Pragmatically being able to afford it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm a guilty anxious attachment, anxious avoidant something.
Okay.
What you just said, avoidant attachment
Yeah.
person. Like I'm cliche. My therapist will tell you that, which is good. And the cognitive understanding that that's who I am in a relationship or in a dating process has been tremendous for
Game
me. Just in
changer.
being able to be like comfortable in dating. Right. It's
Totally.
good to know how you react to situations when you're dating, and that's why coaches like you and or therapists and or
Hmm.
anyone that's being able to like give you practical tools to deal with the
Yeah.
stuff that you're feeling are crucial.
Yeah.
um, the next one is, what piece of advice do you give to people that they typically don't follow but should? And I love that question.
Yo, honestly, stop giving so many fucking chances and giving the benefit of the doubt. And I'm talking about this right now because I have a girl, my best friend right now. If you're listening to this, I love you so much, girl. And because I haven't been this blatantly honest with her. We have this rule in our friendship where it's like, do you want the coach answer? She's also a
Hmm.
therapist. So it's like, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. So it's like, do you want the coach answer or the friend answer? Because right now, like, yeah, I'm stoked. You're stoked about a cute boy. Get it, girl. Coach answer's like, I'm already like, stop,
Run.
bye, Felicia, is like what I want her to say. But yeah, I just think like, I think we have weird, um, this weird habit of like, but he's going through a rough time, or like, oh, it was the holidays. And like, you can tell me if like guys go into this too. I'm sure some do. But it's like, if they wanted to text you, if they wanted to reschedule the date, if they were really stoked about you, you would know. And so if you
Hmm.
find yourself confused, or if you find yourself always, and this goes for no matter what gender you are, if you find yourself always being the one like, so when am I going to see you again? And there's no reciprocity, it's like indecision is the decision. Like,
Yeah.
stop
Hmm.
over giving. I
Hmm.
think that's the biggest thing. It's like, put the kibosh on it. Put the kibosh on it. I don't like when I was dating last year, I did not tolerate that. Not because I think they're awful humans or like I wouldn't call
No.
those people fuck boys. It's just like it's not a match. Basically what I'm trying to say is if you want to feel in your ideal relationship like someone gives a damn about you, then date until you find someone that you feel like gives a damn about you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah.
I think you said something that's crucially important. Like my number one thing, just like life, whether it's work or friends or family or relationships, is like
Hmm.
make time for the people that make time for you, right? Like
Exactly.
if you're putting all this effort and energy into a person and it's not coming back to you, like that should be a warning sign. You shouldn't. I know it's hard in the early stages of dating to get like the clear picture of what this person wants, right? Like you said, classic
I
fuckboys are
disagree.
going to just tell you what you want to hear, and right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it is what it is. Like that
Yeah,
shit happens. But
it
like
does.
you can pick up on someone's energy and understand whether they're giving you the full story or not. And I've
Exactly.
gotten pretty good at that at this age because I've dated a
Yeah.
million fucking times. And it's
Yeah.
one of those unfortunate byproducts of you get it as you get older. So like
Hmm.
as you age, unfortunately life experience gives you clearer
Yeah.
pictures of like what people's intentions are, at least in my estimation.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you said about like the thing about like people are going to tell you what you want to hear. And I was just having this conversation the other day too where it's like I'm a big proponent that like don't go on an excessive amount of dates before you finally ask like, so what are you looking for? Are you like looking for a relationship? Are you
Mm-hmm.
kind of just like looking for something casual? I really believe that if you go on one date, two dates with someone and you're like, okay, I like the vibe, like I like kind of where this is going, I could see that maybe it could turn into a relationship. I'm not saying like you're about it 100% yet, but there's a curiosity there. I ask immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I asked my current partner on our second date.
Yeah,
And for
good.
some people, that might be mind blowing because it's like, oh my God, too much too soon. Like, are you jumping the gun? And it's like, yo, it's not a marriage commitment. It's curiosity. You know, it's
Oh,
like,
totally.
I, I think it is a huge issue when you have gone on 5 dates and you do not know if they are looking for something that's like relationship or casual. I think that's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You're wasting your time. And meanwhile, you're getting emotionally invested in this person where it's like they might be not be looking for the same thing that you want. And now what? Now you're going to start to over justify or try and change their mind in these weird manipulative ways. And it's like, no,
Yeah,
and
you've
the
lost it
people
before it started.
yeah, and the people who are going to tell you what you want to hear, there's little behavioral ticks you can look for. Like you're saying, like you learn those over time, which is the slow way. Totally true. But you can also just educate yourself, or I'm going to do a shameless plug here, take a program or work with a coach or someone who knows how to
Yep.
teach you how to look for these things. And it's like, then it becomes easy as cake because you're like, oh, I see what you did there. I see how you deflected. I see how you paused. I see how you shifted your eyes. You covered your mouth. That's a sign that you're lying. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, like there's little things you can kind of look for where even if someone is trying to grease your wheel, it's like, nice try.
Yeah,
Not
that
happening.
was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get, I don't think I'm old, but
You're
from a
not.
dating perspective, thank you. I preempt every date at this point. Is like, I'm not looking to get married anytime soon, but I'm dating fully with intent. I don't wait. Like, this is
I
before we
love
even go
that.
out. Like,
Yeah.
I'm, I
Yes.
do not
Ladies who are
need,
listening to this, it exists.
no,
Yeah,
but like for real, because like for me, I don't need another notch on my belt. Like there is a certain
totally.
point at a certain age where it's like, yeah, sex is cool, but I want to go to dinner and see a movie and like hang out and laugh and drink wine. Yeah, I want to do all those things. So it's like I've reached the point where it's like if I find someone to be romantically partner inclined, it's like
Hmm.
here's what I'm looking for. This is like I want to date with intent. I want to see if this goes anywhere, and then I want to try. And then
Love it.
within that time period, shit can fail. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's not saying that we're going to work. Not saying that we're a match, but it like preempts the fact that I'm not looking to just hit it and quit it, and I have no
Yeah.
interest in being with someone who's like just trying to fool around. That's like
Yeah.
I'm too
And
old
it's
for.
not a personal thing. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah,
cause I've been there. I've been the girl that's like, yo, I'm on the rebound right now. So like, you know?
100%.
And yeah. And like, it's not, again, I really believe, and you probably do too, what's meant for you won't miss you. So there's literally no way you can fuck it up with the right person. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Can I
I
ask you a
totally agree.
question, John?
Yeah,
Though I
please
know this
ask
is
me
your
all the
podcast and you're
questions.
asking me questions, but I'm going to
Ask me
ask you a
all the
question.
questions.
How do women respond to you when you say that?
Two ways. That's amazing. I am
Okay.
also looking for that. Or
Great.
that's super intense. We should probably not go out.
Okay. I
It
love it.
really depends.
I love talking about men, talking with men about their experiences on dating apps because obviously, like, that's not me.
Yeah.
And I'm so
So
curious to know. Yeah.
I have bad news for people out there who are like single and my age or my 30s that are single and they're like on the I have retired from the apps. Um
Cool. Oh my God.
yeah,
Great.
I'm of the mentality where what's meant for me will find me. I just like I
Yeah.
can't do the bullshit anymore of the hey, what's your favorite color? Hey, what's your favorite movie?
Ew.
Hey, what's your favorite TV show? I want to
Ew.
do all those things, but I want to do it in a natural environment in which I've met people out and like I'm like, hey,
Nice.
we should date. Like we should go out,
Yeah.
let's get dinner, let's get drink, let's get coffee. And I just think it's like an easier sort of it's an easier sort of pattern for me. Like I, having been on and off single for the last, call it 10 years, right? Like, I've been in relationships, I've been out of relationships, have
Yeah.
had such a love hate relationship with apps that, like, I mean, like, humble brag, I was on Raya for like the last year because, like, I don't
Yeah.
fucking even know why. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
stupid. It's literally the worst fucking thing I've ever done in my
I haven't
entire
been
life.
on it. I stuck to the OG Bumble,
Yeah,
Hinge.
20 bucks a
Hmm.
month, totally not worth it. And I also think like a lot of the problems with just the core apps, the Bumbles and Hinges of the world, is that they are now a for-profit enterprise and
Exactly.
they have
Yeah.
less reasons to give you what you're looking for.
They
And that's
won't.
another reason why they won't, and I won't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so. It goes both ways. One of two ways.
Word. Okay, cool. Thanks for sharing. I'm so,
Yeah,
yeah. Cause like if I was a girl receiving that text, I would be the one that's like, bout it. Awesome. Let's go.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like I don't want to pretend. And like, listen, it is. I've said that before and been honest about what my expectations are and what I'm looking for, and that
Hmm.
changes after meeting a person, right? Like, we
Totally.
date, we go on 2, 3 dates, and like I could see them as a non-romantic partner and as a
Hmm.
friend. I could see
Hmm.
them as a non-relationship partner and as maybe a sexual partner. Like these things are
Yep.
all fluid and
Totally.
they change,
Yep.
and that's okay. I just find as you get older, if you are articulative of what you're wanting and what you're feeling as you're feeling it, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yep.
Sometime recently, not recently, but like I got called out for like changing something I was feeling on like a weekly basis. Like the person was like, "Oh, you said this on Monday. It's Sunday, and you're like going against what you're saying." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, things change. You're allowed to change your feelings on
Yes.
matters. And I'm
Yeah.
expressing to you why the situation of what I expressed a few days ago is no longer valid. And
Yeah.
that shouldn't pose a problem. You should be understanding. So
Yeah.
when someone takes something like that and throws it back in your face, maybe think about that.
Red flag. Yeah.
Maybe, maybe,
Exactly.
maybe.
Yeah.
What's the best advice for people who have had bad dating experiences in terms of overcoming past times of being gaslit and manipulated, etc.?
Yo, you gotta heal. That's it. Like gaslighting's abuse. People
Yeah.
don't, it's been so normalized that people
Mhm.
don't understand the psychological trauma that is left from it. And it leaves you feeling like on edge, pins and needles all the time. And so, like, the unsexy answer is you gotta heal. You gotta do the inner work. You gotta, my number one thing, and if you follow me on the gram or TikTok, you're gonna hear me talk about the nervous system all the time, but that is the foundation to healing and healing as efficiently as possible. I think a lot of people hit the brakes when they hear that word heal, because it feels like you're going to have to like be stressy, depressy, and like cry and curl up in a ball and eat tomato soup for the rest of the year. But that's not the case.
Yeah.
You actually can heal super efficiently with the right tools. And the thing about gaslighting is that you want to talk about trust issues. Like gaslighting is huge with that, because you've been lied to your face under the guise of it's your own mind betraying you, right? Where it's like, you're dramatic, you're sensitive, you're crazy, you're not normal, right? And then this amount of self doubt that can come up that someone has to work through and kind of realize, like, wait, it was never me. I was never the
Hmm.
problem. I wasn't
Yeah.
crazy. I wasn't sensitive. I
Although,
wasn't dramatic. Go ahead.
yeah. Although my favorite
What?
thing is it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm just a Swifty, but like I am the problem. I have
Right.
been
I
at
mean,
least,
yes, but that's the thing.
admittedly.
It's like there's a difference between taking responsibility
Hmm.
and someone gaslighting you, right? So it's
Yeah.
like I think like when it comes to relationship, if I would never say to my boyfriend like you're crazy, you're being dramatic right now, because I know it's not beneficial, right? When we
Yeah.
can lean into empathy and be like, even if it doesn't make sense to us, that's when the emotional safety of the relationship is still there. And then
Hmm.
when the person has chilled, right, then we can say, hey, that was a really big reaction to something that happened. Let's get curious about it together and see what we can do to set ourselves up for relationship success moving forward. That's healthy. But meeting your
Okay.
partner, even if it's like true, like even if they're like tripping over dishes being in the sink and they're like, oh my God, it's like, okay, yo, it's not like the end of the world. We don't have rats or any, like, it's not,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's fixable. But like, if we approach it that way, all we're doing is is cutting off the emotional safety in the relationship. So,
Really?
you know, for people who've gone through abusive stuff, you know, I think there's a lack of education on what abuse is, because it's a spectrum. You know, people hear that
Mm-hmm.
word and they think gnarly things like domestic violence, and I'm going to say a scary word, so trigger warning, rape, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But something as sneaky as gaslighting is abuse. And you need to
Yeah.
take it seriously because of the cognitive dissonance that comes up from it. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's crucially important. It's one of those things where like you get better at age with identifying that kind of thing, and
totally.
still at times you could be like bewildered by it and like completely caught off guard. Like, you know, shit happens, but like
Mm-hmm.
knowing the warning signs, working with qualified people can help you preempt those kind of situations. But
100%.
this leads sort of into the perfect next question, being what are some warning signs to look for at the beginning stages of dating for potential narcissists and or egomaniacs? I
Oh
love
my
the
God, there's
egomaniacs part.
so many
Yeah,
potential red flags to look for. Ooh, I have one that I always share that people get pissed at me for talking about, so we can talk about that one.
please.
And that's a lack of long-term friendships. People get
Oh,
so angry at me because it's a sneaky one. So I dated someone who was diagnosed. That's what led me to my rock bottom. I dated someone who was diagnosed NPD, narcissistic personality disorder with borderline traits. And he got diagnosed because he had to go to court ordered therapy for beating the crap out of a woman at a club in LA. So like, it's very serious. Yeah.
oh, sheesh.
And he had no friends. Narcissistic people will have surface level friends. They're called flying monkeys when we look at the terminology that the psychology world uses, and that comes from the Wizard of Oz, you know. And that whole the flying monkey type friendships are going to be people that are just like yes men, right? Confirmation bias over and over again, right? Like, you can do no
Hmm.
wrong. Yes, you're the best thing in the world. How dare they? Blah blah blah. But they're
Yeah.
so blind, right? Whereas when we look at someone who's healthy, they have long-term deep friendships with people who are like, hey, my friend's going through something right now. I got to go to her place tonight to like support her. Or like the person they call up and they're like, yo, I'm going through this right now and I really need support or feedback. Like me and my girlfriend, like if I'm triggered by something that happens in my life, I'm like, hey, will you play devil's advocate with me? Like, this is how I'm perceiving it. Can you give me your 2 cents? Right? They're open to feedback. And the reason that
Hmm.
truly narcissistic, toxic people cannot sustain deep friendships and long term friendships is because they cannot be vulnerable and they cannot be empathetic, right?
Ooh.
So, who the fuck's going to be friends with someone for a long period of time if they're not actually getting past surface level conversation? And if that person's never empathetic about what they're going through? Ain't no one going to be friends with
Ooh.
them for a long period of time. So, that's one of the red flags. Go ahead.
I'm so curious why that would be an unpopular.
I'll
By
tell you why.
yeah, I would. That to me seems so wildly straightforward. Like I don't.
Yeah.
Like, where's the?
Well, I think people get defensive when they don't feel popular or feel like they have a lot of friends. And so I always talk about, like, I'm not talking about quantity, I'm talking about quality. You know, like me,
Hmm.
myself, I probably can count on one hand the amount of people that know me good, bad, and ugly and like have been with me for years. You know, my longest friendship's
Hmm.
21 years long. Like, hell yeah, you know, like they know me at my core. They know 11-year-old Alex, you know.
Yeah.
And then I have like more, I wouldn't say like they're deeper friendships than acquaintances. And then I do have some acquaintances, but there's like a spectrum of friends that I have in my life. People I see, people I hang out with, people I celebrate birthdays with, people I go on trips with, you know? And that's great. And I think people just get confused around like, well, I don't have a lot of friends. And I'm like, I'm not saying a lot, I'm saying quality. And I think the
Yeah.
other thing that can come up, and this is a very true point, and you need to self reflect and know this about yourself, is people who are neurodivergent, autistic, ADHD, they can struggle sometimes to maintain friendships because of what they're dealing with. But you got to know that about yourself instead of taking it personally. You know what I'm saying? And like,
Hmm.
even when I look at, I don't know if anyone, I love this show. It's called Love on the Spectrum on Netflix. Where,
Oh, yeah.
have you watched it? I love it.
I
It's
had.
such a good show.
It's. I just started it like What's today? Thursday. 2 days ago because
Yeah,
one of my friends was like, "You need to watch a show," and
yeah,
she's also single, and we commiserate about our dating
yeah,
experiences quite a bit. And yeah, there's the clip going viral right now about "I would like to hold your hand" or whatever. Have you seen
yeah.
that?
No,
It's
that's so
sorry.
funny.
Oh,
No,
it's so
you're
funny.
good.
Yeah, one of the guys is like, "I'd really like to hold your hand right now," and the girl's like, "Okay," and she's like, "This is nice," and he's like, "I don't like it." It's like really, it's just like so beautiful. Yeah. So
Yeah,
go
and
ahead.
simple. And well, honestly, like I jokingly, but it's true. Like I will jokingly say, like, I think we all need to lean into more blatant honesty. Like that's the one thing I love watching the show for, because it's like, and when you watch, especially on the Australia version of the show, I don't know if you've checked it out, but they do a really good job of, hey, I don't feel a romantic connection, but can we be friends? They do such a better job of that than us neurotypical people. And it's like, can we please bring more of that into our dating standard and our dating norms? Um, Anyway, so the reason I bring that up is when we look at these folks, they still have a support system. They still have some friends. They still have some deep friendships. So, that's why sometimes I get a lot of flack for it. I think people, or they're just legitimate narcissists and they're just like, fuck you. And I'm going to disagree with your content because I'm not a narcissist. How can I be? And they really are, but they can't see the light. So, yeah, but that's one of them. That's a sneaky one. Other ones would be like contemptuous interactions and negging. Like, fuck, ladies, if a guy is negging you under, like, which please tell me everyone knows what negging is. It's like an underhanded
Yeah.
compliment in the guise of like flirtation. I used to get the
You're
one
so
that's like, you're too,
pretty, but
yeah, you're so pretty, but I would never wear that. Right. Or
yeah.
like the one I would get is like, damn, you're too tall. And it's just like, okay, you have short king issues. Like, I don't find it as a problem. So, negging, contemptuous interactions, which is just someone who feels superior. So like that's going to show up as like people talking down about service workers, janitors, like
Mm.
someone who talks shit about someone who can do nothing for them, red flag.
Mm.
Um, God, there's so many. The love bombing. I will say this. Statistics show that people who text more often are love bombers. And I think,
Ooh.
especially with dating apps, we have gotten into this like thumbs addicted to the phone and like, what are you doing now? Okay, I'm breathing. What are you doing now? Okay, I'm going to the bathroom. What are you doing now? I'm running through Taco Bell. What are you doing
Yeah.
now? And it's like, yo,
Taco
fucking go
Bell.
live your life so you have something to talk about the next time you see this person. Put the fucking phone down.
Hmm.
I'm so glad we can
I'm
say the
glad you.
F word here because I can just be me
Yeah.
so much more.
Spoiler alert: fuck is my favorite word. So yeah,
Yes.
I'm glad you brought up love bombing. The texting thing, I have a problem with. So
Okay, tell me more.
I've been love bombed a few times in my life, and like I'm okay with it. Like I could foresee it now, in the moment. Just like, dude, come on! Like, how did
Right.
you just go? Like, it's like it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But the texting thing, like I am that kind of person. Like
Yeah.
I'm a textually active
Yeah.
person. And I'm like,
Yeah.
because unfortunately, like I don't have a typical 9 to 5. Neither do you. I would imagine you're textually active as well. I love that. I just made that up right now.
I
Textually
am
active.
textually active. I think that's cute. Um,
So it's like
yeah,
I have all of the time in the world until I have none. So
yeah.
like you may not like people may not be able to relate to the fact that like I can text you from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then when I'm on a shoot from like 3 to 6, like I'm busy. So
Right.
I I'm like obviously conscious about the things I'm saying. I'm not like I fucking love you, like you're the best, like
Right.
this is the
You're so
greatest.
hot.
Like I'm not
Oh
love
my
bombing.
God.
Like, yeah, you're so
Yeah.
hot. Like well, I mean, I may say that because I believe that, but like um, love bombing, I think is hard. I think as you get older to spot
Hmm.
because it comes and goes in different ways.
Yeah.
I'm making this up on the fly. How do you spot love bombing and how do you avoid it?
Yeah. So let's talk about what you're talking about and I would be interested to have just a straight up honest conversation around this topic with you because I'm curious. But for me, it's like if the amount of attention and time you are getting is not equal to the amount of time you have spent interfacing with this person face to face, that's an imbalance and that's something to kind of just pay attention to, right? So it's like
Ooh.
my boyfriend and I, when we first started dating and we were texting, there were a few days here and there where I didn't hear from him at all. It's like he's living his life, I'm living my life, it ain't no thing, right? Now
Mm-hmm.
we text every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, he might say something like, I'm really looking forward to seeing you again. Okay, that's totally cool. Cause like, obviously I'm a vibe. I feel like I'm a vibe. We had a good
Yeah.
first date. We had a good second date, but he's not over there being like I had a client send me screenshots once and this guy's like, oh my God, you're a goddess. And it's like, oh, yo, like who talks like that? And then he also started like naming, well, this was like on Bumble, like before they even actually met in real life. But that's my point. It's like they haven't even met in real life, and he's talking
You
to
need
her that way.
context. Yeah.
And then also like getting really like detailed with her photos. Like, I love that black button up shirt. It's like, yo, I think you like what's under it more than the actual shirt itself, but okay. You know? And so that's the face. See, that's the ick face. You're getting the ick.
Yeah.
But that's what I would say to look for. It's like, if you haven't even met someone yet and they are laying it on thick and they're like, I need to call you, I need to text you, I need to, red flag, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
as you get to date and know someone, if you've met someone in face to face and you're about it, then it's understandable that you're going to have some you're going to be textually active, you know? So that's really what it is. It's like, look for the amount of time you've spent with this person in RL is equal to the amount of attention they are giving you and the things they are saying to you. The other thing that love bombing, there's two other really sneaky love bombing things. Oh, fuck, I need to...
What just happened?
I need to figure out. It does. This one is. Will it do it? Yeah. It's an. I don't know how to turn it off on Riverside. Wait. Ready for this one?
God.
Wait for it. Come on, you can do it, camera.
For the audio only listeners, Alex just put heart hands. Does it work for me?
I don't know.
No. Alex just did heart hands and hearts erupted over the screen, and then balloons popped up. And if you're listening to this,
I'm trying to do fireworks, but it's not doing it. Anyway,
that's incredible.
Yo, but you want to hear we're going to take a quick shortcut on this because it's hilarious, but we'll come back to the love bombing thing. The first time it happened though, because I updated my Mac and then I was doing EMDR. So I went like this with a client and the balloons came up and I was like, oh, that was bad. That was like not great.
Not
anyway, she was like, they were okay with it, thank God, but like not good when you're digging someone's trauma up and it's like balloons, follow my fingers. Anyway, so the two sneaky things that I think people don't catch soon enough is mirroring, which that person is like chameleon vibes. It's like, oh my God, you love Blink-182? I love Blink-182. Oh my God, you like Vanilla Froyo? I love Vanilla Froyo. Oh my God, The Shining's your favorite movie? It's my favorite movie. It's like, yo, do you have any like personal, like that is scary. So in mirroring, when we look at narcissism, like really dialed in, they'll even go as far as to mirror how you're sitting. Like, they'll start to, and your words. Like, I say word, I'll be like, word. That's cool, right? And all of a sudden, like, if I was dating a narcissist, they'll start adopting my vocabulary.
Oh.
Yeah. So those are really sneaky things to look for. The other one is future faking, because we hear, like, if someone's making future plans with you, that's a green flag. Okay, yeah. And what I mean by that is like, hey, had a great first date. Can I take you out on a second date next week? That's fine. But when it's like, oh my God, 6 months from now, I'm going to Italy. Do you want to come with me? It's like, yo, let's get
matters.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, like people because they get so swept up on the choose me high of like, oh my God, this person likes me so much. They're trying to make plans to travel with me or to do these bigger things down the road. But it's like, you guys aren't even exclusive yet. And they're talking, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, we need to look for these more subtle forms of love bombing that feel really good in the moment, but don't add up in the long run. Those are my big ones.
Good. Yeah. I think with experience, you get older and you start realizing that like good, solid connections from a relationship perspective tend to be less as you get older. I think that's just like a context of maybe of like meeting people, opportunity. I don't fucking know, whatever. Like it's harder as you get older. Maybe that's a factor, it's perceived. So it's easy to get super excited in the beginning and then realize like after like 3 or 4 dates, you're like, well, maybe we don't love each other actually.
Yeah. My God, no. Yeah.
Don't worry. I've absolutely never told someone within 4 dates that I love them. I would absolutely never.
You might not, but there are people who are, you know?
I will give you a very good example. This is 2 years ago. I was dating a person. She was amazing. Missed all of the glaring love bomb signs. Okay. We went on 4 or 5 dates. when we were slept together for the first time, she accidentally said "I love you" to me, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit! Please go." But I was like, "Listen, like that. This is like she just got out of like a 6-year relationship. It was a lot for her. Like I know, like in the moment, I could rationalize, or at least I
You're like,
was
of
trying to
course you do.
rationalize. Yeah,
Duh. Just digged you
I
down.
was like, yeah,
Of course.
I was there too. I was there too. I know why you're saying this. But in all seriousness, I was like, I was freaked out by it. But then I started thinking, oh, maybe my feelings are stronger for her than I thought they were, because like she clearly thinks so much.
Oh my
And
God.
it went from that to we shouldn't talk anymore in like 2 weeks. And I was
Yo,
like,
bro.
what the fuck? And that was
Yeah.
like my first experience with love bombing. And it was the greatest lesson I've ever encountered in my life, because now you know, don't take the people who tell you they love you home
No,
within 4 days.
anyone who's obsessed with you early on, because like okay, when I like to describe, it's like healthy people are like a slow burn. It's like we're warming up, we're not
Yeah.
going like 0 to 100. And if that is the case, if someone's like, oh my God, I'm about it, let's go. Can I see you tomorrow? Can I see you the next day? It's like red flags. We don't want someone to
Yeah.
be obsessed with us early on. That's not healthy.
Mhm.
That's not good. We're looking for interdependence. They're an independent person. You're an independent person. Y'all come together to enjoy that ebb and flow of each other's selves, individual selves, right? Not this wishy-washy codependent bullshit. And so, we need to look for, again, how quickly are things getting off the ground? Because if we're looking for that slow burn that escalates over a period of time pretty stably, not giant firework that epically fails,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes giant fireworks are fun, but not often.
They're usually
Not very often.
short-lived. They're really great one-night stands. Yeah,
Big bang.
literally.
and then
And
then it's gone from the sky.
yep, that's right.
Yeah, I learned a super valuable lesson there, and it's one that like I think you still crop up to now and then. Like you like you mentioned the slow burn. I like the idea that something takes you by surprise, and you're like, oh wow, like this is a person who was never in my romantic purview, someone that I never had conceived of in a romantic manner, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, we should go out, like we should hang out, we should go get drinks, we should, what I mean, that's
Yeah.
I mean, in my experience, those are probably the best relationships I've ever had, the ones that like happened and weren't like forced or
Yeah.
pressed upon. They just like
Yeah.
naturally evolved through life, which is
Yeah.
like, easier said than done, sure.
Totally. But even like my current partner, I met him on Bumble, and it
Mhm.
was like our first date was like, whoa, like that was awesome. And I I would still consider it a slow burn, because it was like I was only seeing him like maybe once to 2 times a week. It wasn't like these date back to back or these jumbo dates that people get in, where it's like you start with coffee and then it's like you go all day and then now you're at dinner. Like not cool either.
Yeah.
Like that's also a red flag,
No.
y'all. Don't do that.
No.
So I would still consider that a slow burn, because again, we weren't texting nonstop. Like we kept it interesting. Like there was a good amount of like ebb and flow coming in and going out and coming in and going out. Go ahead.
I'm glad you mentioned the texting thing, because one of my questions that we had was texting styles. Like, so there are the people who are very textually active. I'm textually active.
Yeah.
And some
Yeah.
people's text styles may be, hey, I'm, the chief of police and I can't text you 61 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut this question up a little bit easier. You mentioned that you were like really good with the text back and forth with your current
Mm-hmm.
partner because it worked within your sort of, dating profile and like what you were hoping for from a communication perspective. If you are the type of person that wants to be texting all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a partner who isn't,
Mm-hmm.
like, just to reiterate for these people, that's okay, right? Like, not everyone's communication style is going to be the same, and you could still have a healthy relationship.
Yeah. No
Okay,
one's
good.
communication style is the same. Like when I teach my communication module in my program, I'm literally like, yo, think about like, even though we all like here in America, we all speak English, but each household is like its own country, because it's like each household has its own jokes, its own version of sarcasm, its own sayings, its own tonality that we adopt as we grow and evolve. So it's like we need even gestures, so it's like, even though we are from the same country and speak the same language, we cannot assume that we have the same communication style, right? So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to get curious. And that's why like curious is like one of my favorite words, because it is that, like, if the communication style with me and my partner was mismatched, I would lean into curiosity. I'd be like, hey, I'm noticing that like you're not
Mm-hmm.
the kind of guy that texts all the time, and that's totally great. I am the kind of girl that likes to text a little bit more. I'm curious, like, how do you feel about that? If I were to shoot you a couple more texts, like, could we find a groove, a happy medium? Like, get
Mm-hmm.
curious, ask the question. And here's the deal. A lot of people are going to be like, ooh, I don't want to like do that if I'm still getting to know this person. And my coachy thing is, why the hell not? Because if
Yeah,
you are going to be in a long-term relationship, you are going to need to communicate your needs at some point, and you might as well start sooner rather than later. Because girl or men, if they ain't about it now, they're not going to be about it 3 months from now. You know what I'm saying?
totally.
So it's like,
So,
and this goes back to my first point where it's like, rip the fucking Band-Aid off. Like, be
mhm.
you.
I like the
Don't over give chances. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
like the curious, because it's curious in combination with communication. Because like, if you're not asking the question or articulating what you're feeling, you're not going to have your feelings met or your concerns met
No.
or your positives met. If you're like, I love when you do this, but you never tell the person that, how are they supposed to know that you appreciate that, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's curiosity and communication. I think if you like are able to be curious about the person that you're with and you're able to articulate what you're thinking and feeling in a moment, you're going to have a better chance of having a successful relationship.
Yeah.
I would I would
The other
guess.
thing I want to just add on to this conversation is, and if you don't share your emotions, like, and you're
Hmm.
vulnerable, you're never going to know how they respond to your emotions. So it's
Ooh,
like,
so good.
yeah, like if I want a compassionate partner, like people talk about like, I'm testing the relationship, right? With these like bullshit things. No, let's put the bullshit things down, and the real testing is, hey, I'm feeling really sad today because I had this happen. And then watch how they fucking respond to you. Right?
Hmm.
If they're like,
Yeah,
well, don't cry about it, suck it up, it could always be worse. Well, bye, Felicia. On to the next one, you know? And if they're like,
yeah,
oh, babe, that sucks. You want me to bring over some cookie dough ice cream? Green flag, you know? It's like,
yeah,
watch how they respond.
yeah. I'll say as a man, not so easy in your 20s, maybe even early 30s, to articulate how you're feeling emotionally. As
Mm,
I think 35 is like the cutoff. Like I got to the point where I'm like, I'm going to fully and honestly communicate the things that I'm thinking and feeling because I
mhm.
just don't give a fuck. Like you'll either appreciate, understand, accept, and work with me on the things that I'm thinking and feeling,
Yeah.
or in the words of the great Alex Scott, bye Felicia.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah. And I think like I hear for you and your experience, it's an age thing. And I think for probably a lot of men, they do feel that way. But I really like any young men listening to this, do it faster. Like you don't need
Hmm.
to wait to get there. I think the reason a lot of people in their 20s, no matter what you have between your legs, like man, woman, non binary, whatever, like people are so focused on being accepted and chosen that we get into these people pleasing tendencies. But it's like, your right person is going to choose you when you are authentically you. The only way you get into like get into a relationship with someone who gets you and is like your vibe and is like soul aligned, like I like to call it, is by being you to the fullest. So you might as well lead with it now. And you're going to have way more dating and relationship success the sooner you get comfortable doing that. Yes, that means you're going to get rejected more, and that's okay. What's meant for you won't miss you. So just keep on going, you know?
My mic drop. I fucking love that. I
Okay.
will say that it's at times, whether it's societal, whether it's fucking whatever you want
It's
to call
very
it, easier
societal.
said than
Yeah.
done for men to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
I've only gotten comfortable being vulnerable because I've put myself in uncomfortable positions. There's a great and many example of my life where I've been vulnerable and I've regretted the fucking shit out of it. So what does that do? That negatively enforces in me that I can't be
Can't be
vulnerable because when
vulnerable.
you are, what happens? Something bad. So I totally agree with you. Like I wish like 25-year-old John could have been a vulnerable, open, fucking whatever person, but he
Yeah.
wasn't because he
No.
just was, he was 25 and he
I
was
wasn't either,
stupid
dude.
and young.
Like,
Yeah,
fuck, I
yeah,
was like the epitome of a chameleon. I was like, just choose me, love me. Oh my God.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh
I
my
was never
God.
like that in my 20s, to be honest with you. my 20s was very much spent trying to just like enjoy life as much as possible.
That's
And I
good.
had
I like
the
that.
group of guy friends that like we did all of the fun shit that we wanted to do. We went to Vegas,
Yeah.
we went to Miami, like we traveled, we
Yeah.
went to clubs and we did partying and like we lived it up. And they are all married now with children and beautiful, amazing wives and
Yeah.
spouses. I'm not. But like it
Yet.
worked for me because like what's meant for you will find you. What works for you
Agreed.
will be for you. So like
Yeah.
if you build a life for yourself that works, like I can write down how many people in the last like year, John, you're 38. Why you're not married? What's going? Okay, when I want to be, like I will be. Like it's not like
Yeah.
this is not like this is my book. I'm
Ain't no
writing my
race.
book. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's like
True.
what will work for you will work for you and let it be for you. But like I
Yeah.
spent the vast majority of my 20s just like fucking off and having fun because that's what I wanted to do. I did
There
it the
you go.
same thing in college as well. So I think like as long as you're doing what you want to be doing and being mindful of other people's feelings and thoughts, and don't get me
Mm.
wrong, I was a shit bag for a lot of my early 20s because I was 19, 20 in college and stupid, but like you live, you learn, right? You get,
Yeah.
it's just true. It's just true.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. I want to end this on what I think is a really good note. Um, I've seen what you've been able to accomplish in a 2 year period, and I found it remarkably inspiring. I think a lot of people can look at a person like yourself who has done something on their own and weathered storms and just been able to grow a tremendous business and an amazing, super cool sort of life for themselves. And I admire it greatly. I
Mm.
always say, like, anyone who's been on this podcast is part of my family. I'm super appreciative of your friendship and your ability to come on again and have
Thanks,
this
Kelly.
conversation. Big fan of yours as a human, and thanks so much for coming on again, Alex.
Aw, thank you. That was so sweet. I feel so warm. Virtual hugs.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.
You too, bud. Bye.